Is going on, boys and girls of YouTube? With free-to-play coming and the map changes and all the questions I've been getting, figured it's time to do a basic conquest guide, mainly the starts. Right now I'm gonna try to break everything down, so if you need something specific, you'll be able to go to that video. So we're gonna talk about the starts, maybe a little bit into the laning phase and stuff, and what everyone's looking to do essentially with the new map. So we'll start with ADC and we'll go from there. Make sure you guys aren't slacking and you're hitting the sub button if you aren't subbed already. So if you are playing ADC, you are going to start with your support in the duo lane. You notice the map now has extra camps here on this left side of the map for both teams and on the right side of the map, but you're focused on the left side right now because the left side is your duo lane. So I'm mentioning that because that is a priority after you get control of your lane. Control of your lane is out clearing the enemy team, essentially. Remember, there is still this gold camp. All of this just gives golden XP, a lot of gold, a lot of gold. So you will start on the purple buff. My clears will be a little bit slow because I don't have my support here, but you will start on the purple buff. You will grab the purple buff as the ADC and you will go to lane. Once you get to lane, your goal should be clearing and out clearing the enemy team. Okay, you want to control your lane, you want to force the minions into the enemy team, and you want to be able to go farm the side camps. It's usually not going to be off of the first wave. Likely it'll be off the second or third wave once you hit level 2 and you have a second ability and you can go clear and you're not really struggling to kill minions, lane minions, or even side camp. So purple buff is spawning. We're gonna go ahead and kill it. Ideally, you know, you power clear this as fast as possible. There's nothing else to do other than clear this, get the lane. First one, the lane usually controls that first wave. Not always. It does depend on your god, comp, you know, your support you're running, your ADC you're running. So you would run here. You'd usually match the enemy ADC support. You'd both be coming into the lane. And now you just want to get control of this lane. All right. So you would full clear. You would obviously get contested. You'd probably both clear around the same time on the first wave. Then you hit level 2. And you could be a little more aggressive at level 2 if you are, you know, the controlling team, or you feel like you're better, or you feel like you have a better team comp. But once you clear this, ideally invading. It is hard to invade because you are putting your back to the enemy team. But if you are able to get in here and pull these together, they die very quick. These camps don't have a lot of health. So this will give you a ton of early gold. And then once you have their camp, it pretty much allows you to back farm your own wave. You see the waves aren't even meeting yet. Once again, a little different because I'm not leaning against an actual duo lane, but we'll focus on the clear and then we'll just get back to farming. So this is, you know, best case scenario for the duo lane. If you don't have control, you want to make sure you get your camp and then you're fighting over this gold camp. This does also give a lot of gold. You see, I don't even have like a Bumbas. A lot of people will start going jungle starters. We'll probably see that at the Lamb, but you still clear without anything crazy. And then this is all up, so we're gonna pull this together, and this is your laning phase. All right, now the secondary part of this is this camp. I didn't mention that because this is going to be something that you will be fighting over just consistently on the timer. The first one is obviously very important. If you can clear this without fighting and dying, you want to do it. Now the way I look at it is, if you feel like you can't secure this or you don't have enough pressure to do this with your support before the enemy duo lane contests you, you just send your support over here to harass them while you farm all of this side of the map, and then you go for that. Now, if that's not possible, that's fine. You can just stalemate the lane and then go for your camp. But like I said, this is a ton of gold on a really short cooldown. I think it's 80 seconds for this, and then you're waiting, you know, almost 200 seconds for this camp to respawn. So side camp control is big, goes a long way, gives you a lot more gold. That is the duo lane. If you're the support, same thing. Lane control, clear the minions, poke when possible, control the camps. All right, now for the jungle start. The jungle start is super basic. There is decisions to make, but they're really easy decisions to make. So your goal as the jungler is to hit level 2 as soon as possible. The fastest way I have currently found, once again, these starts might change once people figure out some cracked number or once balancing happens, you never know. But for the start, for the initial release, you want to go back camps to speed. Now, if you have a really long cooldown ability, so like Slice and Dice is short, but if you have like a 15+ second ability, you might not use it on this. You might save it for speed buff. So you know, shorter cooldown on ability, use ability, your ability to come back up, use ability, and then you're gonna go to this camp. Once you clear this camp, you'll hit level 2. Once you're level 2, you will hit the lane. Once you're in the lane, you are able to fight and or clear. With Bumbas, you're doing less damage to minion waves. I don't think that's a problem, and you know, obviously the other junglers gonna have the same thing. Now, if their mid is a heavy clearing mid, might be a different story. You're really gonna have to go based on matchups, but ideally you out clear, and then we're gonna go to the next part of that start, which we'll talk about once I get there. So I'm using an ability right away. Make sure you use it instantly so it's back up as soon as possible, because you really do want an ability for this speed buff. It starts to hit pretty hard. If you are taking any damage, you can pop a health pot. You're gonna heal up, remember that, but the health pot will make sure you maintain a higher HP. This isn't the only start. I need that to be understood. Same for the duo lane. It is not the only start. It's just a standard start. Okay, you can invade, you can do whatever you want with the start. There's nothing you have to do. There are no rules in place, right? But ideally you want to have something in mind when you're doing that. So you'll get to mid lane, you and your mid laner will be clearing this, and then once you clear this, you want to control this right camp. So pretend the mid laner's here, this will be cleared. This right camp spawns at 1 minute. You want to be here the second it spawns, in case the enemy jungler starts their red or this side of the map and wants to be here before you. And then you will secure this, and you'll work your way back into that red buff behind you. And at that point is where your initial rotation, your early game rotation has ended. You now have full control over what you want to do. Now, as a jungler, you need to make decisions. Is the solo lane killable? Yes or no? Because you can assume the enemy jungler is probably going to be doing the same thing as you and be on this side of the map. Will you be able to fight if the enemy jungler shows up, right? If you don't want to fight, I tend to go to back camps. I'll group everything up that I can. I'll kill these back camps, and then I'll instantly back and go to the duo lane and look for a quick little gank. So I would back. See, I have a little bit more gold because of the mid wave, but you'll have a little bit of bonus gold. I'm just going to grab a random item. And I would teleport up the lane. I would cancel the teleport early, right about here with my right click, so nobody in the lane sees me. If they're fighting or anything's happening, you can run up this left side of the map and look for a kill. If not, you're going to farm this. You're going to wait for that lane to meet so you can actually gank, because if the lane isn't meeting, they're not going to be fighting over anything. And you're going to look over here for this rotation. Ideally, you know, all these camps are already gone and you're just looking for a gank. You can loop underneath if they're playing back. If they're playing up anywhere, you can look for this loop. If they're playing right on the other side of this rock, this is a perfect gank position. And that's the early game for the jungler. Now, the next few steps is just going to be looking for kills, looking for invades, and looking for looking to be on time for your buffs. Making sure that when your speed's coming up, you're there when it spawns. Or if you're looking for the invade, you're there when their speed spawns. Now, you know their timers, assuming they do start a normal start. So I do look for deep wards when I'm doing this, because you have free wards now that are just off of camps. But yeah, I look for any invades I can off these rotations, especially when the gank isn't possible. I'm not waiting around for 20 minutes to see if a gank happens. I'm just instantly rotating, looking aggressive, and trying to get any extra farm and taking farm away from them as soon as possible. And that's the early game. You see this takes me to almost 3 minutes. Now, mid lane ganks are also possible. You don't have to get locked into that solo or dual lane gank. The solo lane gank is possible. You have to know your matchups. You have to know your potential. You'll learn that from trying and failing. All right, so for your mid lane start, this is the most basic start in the game, and the only way you mess this up is if you get out cleared. And even then, that's not messing up. Sometimes that's just your matchups. Mid lane starts in the mid lane, and that's it. Once again, this might change, but right now, having control of the mid lane to make sure you secure this camp is very, very important. And in the event that you don't secure this camp, you want to make sure you don't get pushed out so hard that you don't get your red buff. Now, I've seen mid laners try to clear the first wave and then go to red. That is definitely not the play. However, I've also seen people start Bumbas and clear red off the start and go to mid. I think that is an option. It's mainly to offset timers and change up the way that the flow of the game will play in terms of being able to invade versus them invading you and them knowing your timers right off the rip. They just won't have that. So you can do that. I don't think that that's a terrible idea. It also gives you a ton of farm as the mid laner if you were to do this. That's something for you to test. The other start is just starting mid lane, hard clearing, and making sure you control the wave. Having high clear gods definitely gives you an advantage if your jungler is also good at fighting or has a high clear. Another potential there. So you will clear, you'll wait, and that's it. You'll just literally wait for the next wave. I tend to play up. The jungler's not going to hit 2 until he clears all 3 camps, so he's not really a threat to dying as long as you have some way of moving, like combat blink or dash or whatever. So I'll play up high, try to have pressure, be auto-attacking the enemy god. You'll clear this. The jungler will be here at this time. You'll both clear this, and you'll head over to this mid camp. 1 minute in, you're here right on the timer of it spawning. And then assuming you clear this fast enough, which you will with the jungler, you would then go over and you would both do the red buff. I like to give the like I'm the jungler, so I end up taking the red buff. Sometimes the mid laner will take it. Remember, red buff is different in Smite 2 and Smite 1. It does a dot basically based on health. So it is really good for a lot of mid laners, but early game, if you're not doing anything, it has no value. And then you're back to lane. And then from there, it's lane control into poking the enemy mid laner and rotations. Rotations are big. If you can control this gold little spawn, huge. That's next level. That's 30 gold for your whole team every time you get it. That's a lot of extra gold over the course of a game. Plus then it's rotations. Clear, rotate, clear, rotate. You can go to the side lanes. You can go farm any back camps your jungle is not farming. You can go into their jungle if you're feeling greedy and you don't think you're gonna get ganked. You have a ton of options in Smite 2. There's no set rules like there were in Smite 1 where you couldn't invade for the first minute and all that other stuff. That completely dictated a lot of the start of the game. Now that doesn't exist, so that dictation doesn't exist. All right, so the last role to cover for starts. Really, the starts aren't that crazy, so hopefully these are super easy to follow. Solo lane, you start blue buff. You're by yourself. Now, if a jungler wants to do a different start or someone else wants to do a different start, just go with it. But ideally, you clear the blue buff, you get to the lane as fast as possible. You start clearing as fast as possible. It is the same as everyone else. Early game is a rush to clear, is how I look at it. It's a simple, I need to get to lane quickly. I need to clear lane quickly. I need to control lane by clearing. Now, solo lane is a much different beast from the other lanes. There is a ton of poke going on in the lane, so you really need to learn your matchups and play around that. You will also start to see a lot of Bumbas hammers. I don't know the exact meta. We're going to see that next week when the Worlds event happens, but I've been told that Bumbas is pretty meta in a lot of roles. Like there's going to be multiple Bumbas in every game, and it's because jungle clear is huge. These side camps are worth so much, same as the duo lane, so you're focusing on lane clear, and then you want to invade and control their camps every time it's possible. If you can clear their camps without dying, you take them 100%. The solo lane fully scales and potential snowball is from this. Is from controlling all the camps. That usually requires you to poke. That usually requires you to know your matchups and to win your matchups. That is something that you have to learn. You could watch some Fine OK. You could watch any good high tier solo lane gameplay. You could watch some SPL matches to learn, you know, how do I win my matchups? How are they being played? You definitely want to get in detail for solo. It's one of those things where the little things really matter. So you want to do that. But yeah, that's solo lane. That's it. Totem is the secondary thing you want to control. It does take a little while to clear. It's not even up yet. I think it spawns in 2 minutes. Let me see. Yeah, it spawns in exactly 2 minutes. So 2 minutes, you get that totem you can control. If you get all those camps though, you're printing an extra like 200 gold every minute and a half. Or I think it's 80 seconds, a little less than a minute and a half. You're getting a lot of gold. So if you are winning this lane, if you get an early kill, if you poke them out heavily early and they can't fight you, you win lane at an exponential rate. It's just unmatched how much you win lane. And yeah, with Bogus, you go Bumbas, you get the AoE cleave from Bumbas, you get your AoE cleave from your one if you have the aspect on, which I do currently, and then you could actually build into what I was going to build into, which is Golden Blade, and you'll just really clear the lane and clear all the camps. Like, you see how fast you clear. Clear is big. Playing low clear gods will be difficult. You can still get away with gods like Sobek because you see those side camps have like no HP, and you know these camps are already back up. Like, it's fast. And if you manage to stagger where you're controlling all of this, GG, game over. Like, you print gold. You have so much gold so quickly. But that's the whole solo lane. Biggest thing in solo lane is not getting ganked and getting those camps. And then the next step or the next biggest thing that you can do is rotations. Now with these portals, you need to be rotating all the time as a solo lane. You need to be active in trying to create stuff. If you see your team fighting over side camps, if you guys are in comms and something's calmed out, you're now in the duo lane. You come over here, you fight, you know, they're fighting over this gold camp, you hit them with a little combo, hit them with a knock up, you get them with the slam of the one, you know, you get an ult off, they're dead, then you back, you buy your item, you're rich, you port right up back to your lane. You don't even miss a wave if you do everything perfectly. And even if you miss one wave, if you get a kill or some assists in Smite 2, that's value. That's big value. This isn't like Smite 1, where if you rotated, you had to get 3 kills or else it wasn't worth missing the wave. Not the same story in Smite 2. So you will be using those portals a lot, as much as possible. It does look like they upped the portal sickness on it finally. Or sorry, not the portal sickness. That's the teleporter. The outer lane one. I think they upped it, or maybe... Either way, it's still short. Like, I was a quick rotation, it's almost back up already. I got 30 seconds. I got enough time to come over and get some more camps. Try to do that rotation when all the camps are dead. Secure your camp, secure this gold camp, you know, then rotate. Or secure this, go do theirs, and then rotate. Get back to your lane, farm, do it again. Rinse and repeat. Literally rinse and repeat. Your blue's back up, clear your blue. The early game in all these lanes is not hard. It's just trying to create as much chaos for the other lanes is your goal from a solo laner. It's your goal from a support. It's your goal from a jungler. It's your goal from a mid laner. You don't want to necessarily fight in your lane all the time. You want to fight in everyone else's lane, and you want to be the first one there. You want to be the initial rotator, because that means you're winning the lane and you're just ahead in time on your teammate, or sorry, on your opponent of your lane. So that is the starts video that I really wanted to cover for you guys. I get every stream, I get asked this over and over again. I realize it's extremely basic information for some of you, but for those that are new or those that haven't touched Smite 2 yet, this is just a quick, you know what to do. You don't have to think too much. Game is pretty basic. I've done an aspects tier list that went out like the day before, yesterday. So this is the 11th. You'll watch this on the 10th. You can watch that video. I'm gonna do a tier list, so if you're wondering what you should play, that information will be on that. That'll also be live before free to play goes. And then there's Smite Source. Smite Source is available for everybody. SmiteSource.com. It is a simple website. It's builds for you to use that are very good, and it's constantly updated. So you don't need to guess. You don't need to try to make up your own builds, because I'm not gonna say never, but if you're not really experienced and have a lot of time to test, you don't really get to come up with your own build. It just doesn't end up working that way. So you want to use those builds, because I'm taking those builds from people that are testing and putting tons of time in. And then the tier list is on there. You can do your own builds on there. You can link your account, all that stuff. So it's there. SmiteSource.com. Make sure you subscribe to this channel. Hit the like button. I'll see you all in the video tomorrow, the next day, and the next day.